To move on for a moment, I understand we can now listen in to what the Russian defense minister has been saying.
Almost all population points have been secured. The measures for the securing of these places has happened without conflict, and the Georgian government has been aware of our plans as regards Abkhazia, and we are continuing to attentively monitor the situation in that region. As regards what we know is what has happened in the last 24 hours and now, it is obvious that from the Russian side they have acquired a more stable character. And today, as regards figures, I can't really report that to you, because they are changing continuously, and of course there are two cycles, and this is because in the course of the last 24 hours there have been losses, and it is difficult to report to you, and for this reason, for today's figures, I cannot make a statement as regards losses. In the context of our format of meetings, we have agreed, we've made a certain number of changes. The press questions have been placed beforehand, but now we'll be able to listen to your questions. Could you please say, we'd like to wish you the best for your birthday, but as regards this birthday, I think that the special group of the Georgian forces has been said to us is acting. What forces do they really have, and what action is being taken regarding them? And the second question, the logic as regards what was to crush the arsenal, the places where the Georgian armed forces are grouping and developing. What is the logic? Was there a logic in shooting down 8 the American airplanes, or getting rid of them? Yes, the question, of course, it's a very international character, your question. I'll answer it in order. If we had received the order to cease fire, we would have stopped all actions. We would have and done and so on. That would have, it simply wouldn't have been sensible. We are still monitoring the situation, and in principle, we can expect any reaction from the Georgian side, and we don't know how they're going to react. And for that reason, we would like to put there's continuous pressure on the President of the Russian Federation, who is watching what is happening on a world scale. And for this reason, the monitoring function of the troops and what the consist was, and this will not. It will have to continue to fulfill its functions. And if individual groups will have to continue out or fulfill and complete any actions, we will have to act reacting to them, and we will have to punish them. As regards refusing help to these groups of the American forces, I don't think we've had anything of this in mind. Of course, whatever plans to stop these transport or aviation transport, as regarding them doing any transporting into Georgia, or freights or freights for peaceful purposes, of course we're not going to obstruct that. Of course, it is obvious that there are no questions of that sort. Thank you. Yesterday at the press conference, you said a number of facts as regards the USA is giving support. and said that the Russian soldiers in this operation were Russia had said clearly to the Pentagon that they should stop their support, and that this was supporting international terrorism. Is that true, or is that contradictory? Thank you. Well, the Russian Federation always gave the example of its own obligations. One of the serious problems or questions, which is of course being discussed on a government level between Russia and the United States of America, is this situation. We are not stopping any mutual support between the United States in the context of NATO and other relationships. We are continuing our cooperation. We have a common language, and simply this is the answer to the question. But at this stage, there are no other demonstrations, no other plans, no other decisions which have been taken to stop or to suspend these relations. The Russian Federation has not undertaken anything. And as regards what we will have to discuss, what will depend, will there be some sort of collective reaction? That, of course, is something which has to be thought about. Thank you. Interfax. Could you please say the decision of the President to introduce troops into the territory of Abkhazia? Could you please say that the Georgian troops were acting with American instructors? Thank you. Well, on the territory of Georgia, as far as Abkhazia, as you were saying, these groups, I've already said that in the direction of Abkhazia, we have monitoring the situation, and that the police forces that are there, they're still acting according to their agreement. But they're all armed for self-defense, and of course there were certain points of observation which had been strengthened in the region, but they were not fulfilling any sort of military operations outside the police normal operations. But we did ask certain places for them to give up their weapons. And so this happened without conflict. And as regards the breaching of the border, in the responsibility of the territory, we have not gone beyond the border. As I've already reported, we are not abandoning the territory where the peacemakers already are. We will insist on our rights in those areas. Any sort of artillery action or firing which has to happen. And I would like to repeat that on the Georgian territory, the peacemakers have not gone out onto Georgian territory.
All right, we've just been listening in there to comments made by Anatoly Nogovitsyn. He's the deputy head of military general staff. Those comments coming to us from Russia. I understand now we can just take a look at some images possibly of the moment in which Dmitry Medvedev, the Russian president, told his military generals to cease these military operations in and around Georgia. Now, in that statement that was made by the military general, he pointed out that he didn't know whether or how Georgia would react to this decision by Russia to cease military activities. He also made it very clear that Russia does not intend to abandon the territory where its peacemakers, or soldiers in other terms, already are. So very clear there that Russia does not intend to give up the territory that it has gained in recent days. But he also made the point that Russia does not have soldiers on Georgian territory. Well, obviously the breaking news that we are bringing to you this hour is that the Russian president, Dmitry Medvedev, has announced that he will cease military operations in the Caucasus for the moment.